tonight we talk about legacy versus reputation. What are you really leaving behind?
People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
And we are joined by Jacqueline Asiimwe, who's the CEO of CivSource Africa.
I'm an imperfect person in an imperfect world trying to do good things.
And how do you distinguish between building a personal brand and building a legacy?
Brand is what people see.
Yes.
Legacy is what people feel. When I'm building who I am, I'm building with and for others. Feminism is the radical idea that women are human.
Welcome to the Imposter CEO podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Shamim K.Matovu. Now tonight we talk about legacy versus reputation. What are you really leaving behind? And we are joined by Jacqueline Asiimwe, who's the CEO of CivSource Africa. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you so much.
Now let's start from there. What's CivSource?
CivSource is an organization that I founded and that I head. And I know people often stumble over the name Civ and call us civic, others call us civil, others call us all manner of names. So Civ for us means people, civilian, citizen. We just cut it short. But people are at the heart and the center of what we do, and we exist for people and to serve people. So hence the Civ. And source, we want to be a source of information, of solidarity, of resourcefulness as we serve people.
Okay.
And then Africa is both our heritage, but also our vision. So we're in Uganda, but we also believe that we are on the African continent for a reason, and so that's why we called ourselves CivSource Africa.
Okay, that's quite interesting, because I know I would stumble on the same thing. I could call you CivSource, Civic Source, call it whatever it is.
CIV source, everything.
Absolutely.
We've heard it all. Yeah.
But as long as we understand the dynamics.
CV source, anyway.
Anything
It's always interesting.
So Jackie, I have been observing the amazing work that you're doing, especially this work thing.
Yes.
We'll tap into it.
Yes.
But let's go directly to you. You are a lawyer, a leadership coach, over 25 years in civil society, philanthropy, a lot of work, right? When you started CivSource Africa, your approach is blending feminism, feminist leadership and philanthropy strategy. How do you play around that in terms of how you influence it on the grassroots?
Wow. So when I started CivSource 7 years ago now, will soon be 8 years, I had a history working in civil society, indeed, like you mentioned, and also intersecting with philanthropy, which at the time I understood to be mostly Western. But when I started CivSource, something recalled to mind the fact that Africans are a generous people. And I started to ask myself, how come I've never heard the stories of my people? How come I've never heard the stories of Africans as also philanthropists?
Yes.
And I think for me, that is where my feminism comes in, because feminists question, feminists challenge status quo. And this was us challenging the status quo of philanthropy being a Western expression. And I said, no, that is absolutely not correct. Shamim, we always say that you cannot be an African and not have experienced philanthropy either as a giver or as a receiver. And in fact, there is no permanent giver, no permanent receiver. Our communities exist by, with, and through generosity. It is who we are. It is so ingrained in us, we don't even see it, because we then hit the streets of Kampala asking, are Ugandans philanthropists? And people, no, or name a philanthropist. Again, people quickly thought of the West. So our centering feminism and Africanness is to say, we see the things that people do not see, and people do not see, unfortunately, Africans as givers. Now the conversation is much ahead, There are lots of organizations and institutions talking about African philanthropy, giving and generosity. We now know we can name rich Africans that are giving and changing lives. And it's not even about money. We also are talking about everyday expressions of giving and generosity. Kindness, right? And like I said, it is so ingrained in us. But sometimes what is obvious to you, you also need to be able to see, to be shown in a mirror that this is actually who you are. You're a giver. You are a participant in your own development. You're not just a recipient. I see a lot of that, you know, in our work designing cultures for corporate companies, where because it comes naturally, you don't even recognize it's a value that you share. So I think now the responsibility we have is also to just break down, you know, these English words also, they're just too big for people, for them to be able to understand. Because I see that as African people, that is really in our DNA. We share a lot with our people. It might not be money, it can be kindness, it can be thoughtfulness. There's a lot that we share. But you touched on something very interesting, and I think I really want to engage you on that. There was a conversation around feminism. And for a certain period of time, I had people questioning me, are you a feminist? You know, because for some reason, there's the barbaric conception of what feminism is. And I think that at a certain point, we lose sight of what that actually is. And so I tend to keep away from that word itself, because even a lot of the times you notice that in our society, when you are an educated woman, you know who you are, you vocal about your values, people tend to attach the barbaric conception of feminism on you, which is not good for us. Now that I have you here, help us understand what true feminism is in the way you see it. Feminism is almost like asking, tell me what a true Christian is. Because we know that life is lived on a spectrum, right? So there are several expressions of what feminism is, all the way from the radical to the liberal to everything in between. But the dominant narrative then becomes more around the radical expressions of feminism, and we get branded and we get called names. But that is when you only locate people in a little box. One day I saw a bumper sticker actually on the pickup that Joe Oloka and Sylvia Tamale used to drive. These are two leading feminists in Uganda, and I loved the bumper sticker, and it said, feminism is the radical idea that women are human. And for me, that is the sum total of what feminism is, right? That many times we don't know how much we dehumanize women. We don't know how much we don't count them as human. And so for me, that locked into what I express when I say I'm a feminist. The radical notion that women are human. We have thoughts, we have ideas, we have dreams, we have ambitions. We love money, we run economies, we can be presidents, we can be farmers, we can co-rule this world. We can manage families. Like, we simply are human.
Wow. I really like that you're echoing the element of humanity, because I think a lot of the times we miss that beat of recognizing that we all wake up with dreams and visions and aspirations, and it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. You know, we are all human anyway. But I want to come to something that is very interesting. In the leadership space today, we call on people to spotlight themselves, build who you are, tell your own story, meaning that we're asking people to build their personal brands, because your brand will tell us about what you care about, the things that you like to do. Why should people come to you? And Jackie, you are doing amazing work on that. You're doing a lot of, and I'll spotlight this on your walking thing.
My walking thing.
I don't know how you are so consistent with this walking, but I can see you like turn up, showing up in a way that is healthy for you, but still having conversations that are important to you. Now, in the space of us talking about legacy and reputation, you have built your reputation on a kind of rock that if I didn't know you and I got your LinkedIn page, I would know what you care about. So I want us to help us understand, how do you distinguish between building a personal brand and building a legacy? Because now we're saying we are such a young population. It's not just about you turning up and doing things. Before we used to think that legacy is for people with gray hair.
Yes.
Now we know that we have to be intentional when you turn up.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between the two?
Okay, so this is what I think, that brand is what people see.
Yes.
Legacy is what people feel. And I will explain it like this. Because a brand is curated. It's me giving you a small window into my life.
Yes.
And it's me choosing what part of my life you see.
Yes.
Because seeing me on social media is not seeing Jackie. You're seeing the parts that I've allowed you to see.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm saying that brand is what people see.
Yes.
It's curated, it's strategic, of course. So be very intentional and mindful about the parts of yourself that you allow us to see.
Yes.
And we're not even talking about just the good parts. People have allowed us to walk with them the journeys of mental health, of grief, of loss, of family struggles, so again, it is what have you allowed us to see? And I think then legacy is not just what we want to be remembered for, but rather remembering that when I'm building who I am, I'm building with and for others. I'm building with love, with intentionality, with solidarity. It's really about your values. And your values show up whether you're falling and failing or whether you're rising. So that is how I would, it's almost like that perfume that you leave in the room when you've gone, right?
Yes.
And then brand, like I said, what you see, legacy, what you feel.
Yes. And that's very interesting, because people say that people will never forget how you make them feel. Interesting, recently a colleague told me, I was waiting for the lift. Then a colleague told me they were coming from a different floor, finding me at the lift, and said, "Oh, Dr. Shamim, you know, I smelt you." And I said, "What? I smelt your perfume," and I laughed about it. And I thought to myself, there are things that people take note of, but we are not even aware.
Absolutely.
But it's also interesting that you say there are bits of ourselves that we have allowed people to experience. Now, I want us to think about, now as you talk about legacy, you're bringing into the element of value. And for us who unlock potential for people, support organizations, we know that value systems are very important in character development, how you want people to experience you, the things that you do, why you actually care about that. Can you share with me some of your guiding principles that help you to recognize how you build your legacy over image? Because now we know that image, I can show you a different image today based on how I feel. So what are some of those guiding principles for you that enable you to curate that?
I'm very big on kindness. Very big on kindness. It's such a deep value for me. It is, you know, it's very self-explanatory, very self-evident. I believe that the world could use a lot more kindness.
A lot more kindness, yes.
I believe that, we all deserve kindness.
Yes.
And we can all be kind. It is not something out of anybody's reach.
We don't even have to pay for it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, kindness is very, very deep-seated. Another value for me that I live by is generosity, and we always tell my mother as a family that we learnt it from her. We saw her give, and we were taught to give, and it doesn't matter, like I said, it's not even that we gave because we had.
Yes.
My father and mother served in the church, and we know that in Uganda, you know, church workers are not the richest people on the block, right?
Yes.
But that my mother could teach us generosity is something that I hold dear. And maybe that's, you know, what connected the dots for me finally when I started CivSource, that, generosity looks like a cup of water for your neighbor, looks like helping an elderly person cross the road, looks like, yes, there's a drive and I have some money and I can give, looks like, you know, even just supporting people in conversations,
Yes.
right? So generosity is also another thing that is very, very big for me.
Yes.
Presence is another thing that I think I learned from, and so my parents emulate. And at this stage in my life, I've been, in fact, reflecting on how much of what I carry as my values is things that I learned or that were modeled for me.
Yes.
Yeah, so upbringing is very, very critical.
Yes.
So yeah, presence, showing up physically, because yeah, I know we talk about a lot how when it's very interesting when people say, "Oh, I've seen you on social media," and like,
Yes.
no, you've seen my picture.
You haven't seen me yet. We've not met.
Or when I text you and I think, I've reached out to Shamim.
Yeah.
No. We used to visit
Yes.
people, sit with people, have conversation with people, even if you were just silent. Right?
And you know, that's very, very interesting, because you see, one of the things, and especially in a world where we are constantly doing this, doing that. I was recently having a conversation with a friend, and it was so funny because they just sent me a message. We've been planning to meet several times. Then they get in touch with me, then I'm not available, then I'm out of the country.
Yeah.
So we had a conversation. She just sent me a message and said, "I've been thinking about you." And I was close. I said, "Are you here?" She said, "Yes." I said, "I'm coming."
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful that we sat down and were able to pour into each other. And I just recognized how people seeing you on social media is not actually connecting. Because you see, now we also know that there are tools that work on social media. So for us to be able to care for each other, it's that call of, can we meet and have a cup of tea and just have a conversation? I care for you, I'm thinking about you, because anything could be happening.
Anything.
Yes.
Anything.
So I really like that bit. So you're now challenging us to pick that call and say, "Hey, how are you
Let's
doing?
meet
Can we
today."
have a cup
Yes,
of tea?"
yes,
Thank you,
yes,
Jackie.
yes.
I really like that you're echoing that, because in this world where we are constantly on the move,
Yeah.
we've seen stories of people dropping dead.
Yeah.
You didn't even go to hospitals. They didn't even get a chance to go to hospital. So that's very powerful, and especially that for you who comes from the philanthropy space, you're telling us to also pour into ourselves and the people that are around us. So thank you for that
please
reminder.
See, ask yourself, when was the last time I went to actually visit someone? To see and check on
I
them.
am guilty as charged.
Yeah, and I know we are. The world is different. Of course, it is changing absolutely, but we don't want it to run so fast that we forget. I think one thing that I even pray that Africans don't take for granted, we say that we are a communal people.
Yes.
We almost laugh at the West for being individualistic,
Yes.
but it didn't happen over time.
Yes.
Because it is human to associate. So they too started with, open doors, open compounds. Soon the walls came up. Soon the walls came up in the heart. Soon the walls came up on, so it is really if it is a value that we espouse, that we hold dear as Africans, that, solidarity, communalness, then we need to protect it. Absolutely. One person at a time, one community at a time. Yeah. So I also, when I even talk presence, I mean that when the LC1 calls the chairman, I will go, because what am I doing on my street, in my community, at my school, I'm a member of the Alumni Association. Like for me, presence is so, because that's how we build relationships, and that,
Thank you for that.
That is another thing that is deep for me, relationships. In terms of, the intentionality in building them. They don't just happen. You really have to water that plant called relationship or relating. Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
To mention but a few, otherwise we will not end this. Sure. We won't end this. And relating, both outwardly to yourself.
Yes.
Because many of us have relationships with others, but a very bad relationship with ourselves. Yes. And of course, relationship with faith.
With the divine, yes. Thank you. I just noticed that lately, as I grow up, because I'm also growing.
We all are every day. Yeah.
I'm constantly thinking about my responsibility on this planet. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I challenging myself enough to serve in the spaces that God has trusted me in? Now, I want us to think about something as visibility. a lot of people are doing things in a visible way. We are calling on leaders to be much more visible to be able to serve. But when we are building a legacy, and you touched on something to do with values as well, we noticed that that's something that is ingrained in you as a person. I want us to reflect on what is something that you once thought mattered to you, right? That no longer defines you as an individual or even the legacy you're building.
Okay. So 2 things come to mind. One, the need for perfection, and the need to hide mistakes. So, and maybe it's 2 sides of the same coin. So I know that we often talk about the firstborns club. I'm a firstborn, and for better or for worse, I'm not even castigating our parents. I think they were calling out, you know, a sense of responsibility, a sense of discipline.
Yes.
Always reminding us, you know, you're leading your siblings, they're looking up to you.
They're looking up to you.
But sometimes then what that can create is that therefore I must be perfect at all times in all things. And the world quickly teaches you that that is impossible.
Yes.
And so I let go of, and sometimes perfection can also be performative, right?
Yes.
I'm performing perfection, but inside I'm breaking down. In this moment, what I would like is really just to ask you for a hug or just to be quiet. But because I'm performing perfection, I have to present to you something that I'm really not. And that's not to say perfection is always fake. There's, you know, we do aspire to, but I was that kind of, you know, the lines must be straight and there's nothing out of place. But I have learned over time that, and that's not to say don't aspire to excellence. I think that's the other thing that I had to distinguish for myself.
Yes.
Perfection does not always mean excellence. Absolutely keep challenging yourself to be excellent, but also let go of the need to be perfect because you're not. And so now my mantra is, I'm an imperfect person in an imperfect world trying to do good things.
Yes. And you know, actually that enables us to have solace for other people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then embedded in that, because when you're being perfect, you're trying not to, or you're trying to project that you don't make mistakes. And yet you do, right? But we also live in a world that is shaming, either in terms of, and I know we talked about it as we were beginning before we went on camera, but just that need to hide everything. And so mistakes, what my father used to tell us that mistakes that are hidden grow. You can also be shamed. So when suicide rates are increasing, maybe it's because we are a society that shames people for even making a mistake, right? For not having it all together. Hiding mistakes means then I'm not learning because I'm again trying to project perfection, which I don't even have, instead of saying, okay, I've fallen and failed, what can I learn from this and be better? So I've also learned to accept that I make mistakes, accept that I need to learn from them, and being had to learn the difference between making mistakes doesn't mean I am a mistake.
Wow, that's powerful.
Because I think it can get into that realm where you start to think of yourself as a mistake.
As a mistake,
yeah. And it's just, I had to learn, I make mistakes, I am not a mistake.
Wow. I think that there's a lot, and partly why we actually have these conversations is there's a lot of pressure from people. And I noticed that there are a couple of times when sometimes we think we know what's happening in people's lives, but we don't. No. And there's that pressure that comes of, oh, how about, can you do this? And you're thinking, you don't even know how far I've traveled this journey. So I believe that even as a people, and earlier on you mentioned that there's certain times we focus on what's external, but not internally loving ourselves. And I've realized for me that as I grow, I'm becoming more introverted, you know, because my work in itself is extroverted work. But I'm such a person who likes my own space. So I've recognized that even ours, there's no way I will be at an event today and tomorrow. No, I have to charge my social batteries.
Absolutely.
And people who know me actually recognize when things are happening. They will tell, they need to move me or I need to go. They know, but other people might not. But when you say that sometimes when we are faced with those challenges, we think we are a mistake, imagine how many people actually think that they are. You know, the pressure that we put on people, think, oh, you should know better. No, I am a person on a journey that is going to learn from my mistakes. And I think we need to echo it as leaders to support people to see better, to do better, but also recognize that in the midst of that, mistakes will be done.
Shit hits the fan. Excuse our French.
That's really powerful, powerful. But I want us to, you know, the work you do is very interesting. It's very interesting because there are times when obviously you also get into a situation where you have to put your foot down, right? But I want us to focus on, you talked about values earlier, and I believe that anyone that has values and really is embedded in their values, also are they're engraved in their purpose and why they do what they do. I want you to speak to us about whether you have a sense of purpose that has evolved during your journey, like from lawyer into a CEO, because now you also have different hats. As a lawyer, you could turn up in a different space, but also as a CEO of CivSource Africa, there's also another hat you have to wear. Talk to us about that sense of purpose for you.
So, I remember very vividly as a 19-year-old, I think I was in that in-between space. S6 results have come, or waiting for S6 results in between university. And I sat at the back of my mother's kitchen with my Bible on a three-legged stool, and I said, God, what do you want me to do with my life? And landing on a verse that talks about being a voice for the widow, the foreigner, the voiceless. And I really took it to heart, Shamim. I like grabbed it and said, this is what I will run with all my life. What I didn't know then, of course, as a 19-year-old, and that's the beauty of life, that it unfolds slowly and gently and over time. That while I started out very deeply seeped in women's rights work, so started out at FIDA Uganda, went to UONET, went to ACFOD, then UONET. All these are great women's rights organizations. And then I did a brief stint at Ministry of Justice, and it was, you know, my world started to expand in terms of voice is the thing. Right? So maybe at some point voice was about women and women's rights, and I did all I could. Another season of my life, my voice, I lent to good governance, so, you know, things around corruption, things about representation. There were times we were in parliament and I almost felt like an MP who hadn't been voted in, but I was always there because we were working with all kinds of committees of parliaments, doing all kinds of things. But yeah, there was that season. And now the season that I'm in right now is to be a voice around African giving and generosity, a voice around leadership. So I'm glad to be on this podcast. So the anchoring in terms of voice has stayed. What has changed is, in this season of my life, what am I to lend my voice to, and be open that it will be different things at different times. So has a moment in your life caused that shift to focus from recognition to resilience? Because you see also, when in that space as a lawyer supporting women initiatives and, you know, ensuring that women are well taken care of, there are a lot of things that you do that are beyond the norm. There sometimes you'll have contentious conversations, and it's just reflecting on now for you building that resilience into where you're heading, as now recognizing that you head an organization that now potentially has other people that are delivering this kind of service. That moment of shift for you, where you move from recognition to resilience, what is it like? Woo! What is it like? And one, it is an ever-evolving journey. It is a journey that required me to seek help, because that is part of resilience, recognizing where I can't do it on my own. I need the support of others. I need my tribe, those that know that I know that I know that I can turn to when I don't have it all together, when things seem to be, you know, running amok. It has been leaning into vulnerability, and by this I mean, yeah, again, that when I talked about I make mistakes, and so I can say, you know, this forgive me, I didn't do my best, I didn't show up as my best. I'm struggling here as a leader, so please understand. That has been the shift, because I'm also a person who learns a lot from my elders, from those before me. And I think, Shamim, what has helped is also I have had to understand that how I was led 20 years ago is a very different space from how I have to show up as a leader now. And not that we throw away the baby with the bathwater. Absolutely take the anchorings that you were given then, but also learn that this is a different time, a different space, a different way of leaning. And I think that is part of being resilient, in fact, that you're able to change. You're not stuck, but you're ever evolving and allowing yourself to morph. So it's been, I don't even, like I said, it's not even one moment, it is moment by moment by moment, learning that today I need to be resilient in this way.
Because you see, it's really about the experience of your journey and how others can learn from it. You know, because like you said, from 19, you had that prayer before God. Later, did you know how that's going to play out? Absolutely. So that means that we also need the patience to be able to recognize there's a prayer we had, and then do our bit and let God lead that way. For me, that's it's a very important element of my life, that at the end of the day, the conversations I have with my divine, nobody knows about. So when people start to question, why are you doing this? I'm not giving you the answer, because I've already had this conversation in high places, right? So that's a very good thing to think about. But also, I want us to focus on a lot of things that we do as leaders today. And I say this in our engagements as leaders, that we must be able to make decisions. And sometimes we might not make the most, what would I call it? We might not make the decision that appeases everyone. Sometimes the decisions we make or we take will be those that are unpopular.
Absolutely.
But they must be made. Because we have been placed in positions of power. We have responsibility to do that and take care of people in our embrace. Are there moments for you where there's something that, for example, has caused impact, or a decision you took that has caused impact but hasn't been applauded?
The ones I think about mostly are the ones where you have to fire people. Let go people. My coach told me, no, it's not firing, it's releasing people into the market. Anyway, and there was one that was particularly tough. And this is what in that moment, over several days and weeks, I had to tell myself, leadership, like indeed you said, is not about doing the popular thing. It's about doing the right thing. And it may not... And I also told myself, I did not come here to be liked, I came here to lead. And especially having grown up as a person, recognizing myself as a people pleaser, not wanting to make anybody cry.
Upset.
Having to come to that point, how many years later in my journey, to say, Jackie, you do not lead to be liked. Because the mantle of leadership is different. As I used to read in one of the leadership books I read, if you want to be liked, go sell ice cream. So I'm not selling ice cream here. I am leading. I'm leading us to a destination. And like you said, I've had to talk to myself. I've had to face the Jackie who, yes, makes those decisions that I know I won't be liked about. But telling myself that is what I've come to do. It's tough. It's messy, it is sticky. And I think the other thing for me is alongside that, therefore, as a leader, how do I constantly build trust? So that, yes, I may not like this decision that Jackie has made, but because I trust her as a leader. And so even in this season, I'm reading an interesting book called The Speed of Trust. I am constantly questioning, am I a leader people can trust?
Yes.
Am I building a trustworthy institution? Yes. Do the people I lead trust me? How can I increase the trust that people have?
Yes.
So that when you're building trust, people will also know and understand that there are decisions that she's going to make that I may not like, but because I trust her, because she's done the work of building trust, I'll trust that she had to make it.
Absolutely. Wow, that's really, really powerful, actually, because, you know, in this world, everyone, you see, as we shift, everyone is looking out for themselves. And obviously, that is very key for you to say that as a leader, there has to be an element of trust that my words can be colorful today. Another time they could be fiery. But that is my role as a leader to make that decision. And so for your team to be able to say, okay, we might not understand it now, but we trust that there's a reason, that is really, really powerful. But let's also turn into, with social media, there's instant gratification. People tell us what they are doing in a certain time at a particular, we know everything that's going on. As leaders, because you know also we've recognized that our role is not to be clapped for. We have a mandate to execute, and it does not matter whether people clap or not. How do we then stay motivated amidst these key wins that are not publicized, especially in a situation where instant gratification is a thing?
Is a thing.
Yes.
Wow. I think it goes back to what you talked about, what we talked about, Shamim. If you know the why, and your calling is the why. And again, if I catapult myself back to that 19-year-old sitting on that three-legged stool, applause was not one of the things. That's not to say that people who desire it are, I'm not even judging that, not at all, not at all. But when I recenter myself, when I reground, why am I doing this? It must be because of my call and the values that I'm leaning into. I've also read again and again and again that leaders don't be too quick to fall for the applause. So how do I train myself every day not to fall for the applause? Is it good? Yes, but move on quickly. The person that I read it from also talked about how, and I relate to it because I've climbed mountains, that yes, celebrate the peak moment, because absolutely, like you said, we work hard. So yes, when we get the applause, it is warranted. However, know that for every peak, you have to go back down that mountain.
There's another challenge coming.
There's another challenge coming. There's another valley coming. So don't stay too long. Don't build a tent. Don't build a permanent house on that peak. No, there's a challenge coming the next day that will require a different you. So appreciate it, but don't let it become the reason for being. Because man, if we even learn from the example of Jesus, the people who applauded him one day were the people throwing stones the next day. So please, applause is so fleeting, so fleeting. But be true to yourself, be true to your call, be true to your values, so that whether or not you receive applause, you're doing what you were meant to do. But also, again, does Jackie applaud Jackie? Because sometimes I think we hanker for external applause, and yet you're beating down this Jackie that has done all these things. So how do I also celebrate myself? Again, not to stay in the space of look at me, I'm all that. No, but like you said, I'm a doctor now. I did it. I'm whatever I'm doing now in my season, I did it. I put in the work. And but let's keep going.
Wow, Jackie, that's I need to first take it in. It's very interesting. Now, as we close, I'm gonna ask you a question. Are you ready?
The way you have looked, I'm suspicious. Yes.
So I And one thing that I've liked so much about this conversation is you're re-echoing the element of celebrating self, which is one thing. And I mean, I tell people every day that before anybody else says, oh my God, you did amazing, I know. Because you're seeing the results, you are not seeing the process. So I'm already applauding myself for the achievement, which is a very good thing to be at. But let's imagine that you're leaving this room and you're not coming back. What do you think we'll say about you?
So stealing exams, I actually had a conversation with my son this morning, and I said, there's this question they're going to ask me, so what should I say? What would you say? But yeah, what would be said about me when I've left a room? Jackie cared. Care is so deep for me.
Yeah.
One mantra that I live by: people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes.
And so in every space I walk into, I hope people can say, she might have done many things wrong, but we know Jackie cared.
Wow.
It is so big for me. And care looks like different things for different people, absolutely. But yeah, care. And I also have learned to embrace it as part of who I am, whether it comes from my being firstborn and I was taught to be a carer at a young age, but I've learned to embrace it as part of who I am. I love to care. I think the other big one for me is, and she gave. That I am generous with my time, with my presence, with my money, with my resources, that there's nothing I hold back, not as though to bleed myself or to perform it, but that because, no, truly, I love to connect with people through generosity. So she cared and she gave.
Wow, Jackie, I'm taking it in, and especially the caring bit, because I think we need a lot more care. We need a lot more care for each other. Thank you for sharing your heart with us. Thank you very much. I believe that we have learned a lot, and people that are going to watch this podcast are going to learn a lot from you. Thank you so much for being generous with your time and sharing with us.
My pleasure.
I can see that you care.
Thank you so much for this conversation, Shamim.